Good Friday, all you people out there on the internet listening to us on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, on wherever you found us. Doesn't matter where you found us. We're kind of like those bands that don't care if you steal their music. Wherever you find us, you find us. And that's great with us because we thank you for tuning in to another edition of Banter. Two-man crew today, Tyler Zulli, Branodn Zulli. Chris Matase is off adventuring through the Nashville streets. Actually, I think they may be gone by now, but they're traveling into South Carolina, I believe, as we speak. So he's having himself a fun time. He may be back next week. We'll have a three-man crew. But just for today, just me and you, Branodn.
Yep, I can't wait to get to this, man. We got a lot of shit to talk about.
We've got a lot to talk about and very little time to cover as we generally only go about an hour each week. But, you know, the more topics we have, the more people we have, maybe we'll stretch it. Maybe we'll start doing an hour and a half show. But you guys got to tell us that. If you want a longer show, please let us know. If you want more shows each week, let us know that as well. But let's get right to it. Our beginning segment today, we're actually going to, kind of funny that it's just the two of us because we're going to do a little bit of sports conversation. I know you're not a big sports guy, but you'll be able to get into this as we kind of expand the segment a little bit further. But I wanted to start with an interesting topic that's kind of surfacing around the NFL and the sporting world, and that is the unemployment of quarterback Colin Kaepernick. And Kaepernick, Brandon, I'll kind of give you a little bit of a Cliff Notes version of this. Kaepernick was drafted by the 49ers out of Nevada University. He eventually took over their starting job, took them to the Super Bowl in 2012. I believe it was, let's just say 2012? I believe it was 2012. But 2012, 2013, sometime along those lines. He played really well his first couple of seasons, got hurt, then lost the starting job, and now finds himself not on the 49ers roster. They opted to not re-sign Colin Kaepernick. Here's the dilemma. Colin Kaepernick is a social justice advocate. He was one of the first players.
Is he a snowflake?
You could call him what you like. Let me explain to this, and you can make your own formal decision. He's one of those players one of the first players to not stand for the national anthem, to fight for African American and minority rights. And here's the deal. Here's my opinion on the opening topic, and then we can get you into it, and we'll kind of expand a little bit further. As a person and as somebody that's a public figure, you have every right to do whatever you want to do, as long as you're not breaking the law, you're not breaking league policy, or you're not breaking team policy. He has every right to not stand for the national anthem. It's a free country. It's a First Amendment right. He has every right to do it. But now he finds himself without a job. I guess really, as somebody who's not a big football guy or a big sports guy, let me pose it to you this way. Does the quarterback position, and sports in general, does the glamour of the professional league, does that lend itself to you have to be more selective with what you do in the public space in terms of job security in the future? Because now Colin Kaepernick, who is a talented athlete, does not have a job when maybe he would have a job if he were not to have done these public displays of whatever you want to call it, public displays, I guess.
Well, I mean, I think if you're in the public on TV, everything you do matters. Even, whether it's something like that, whether it's something minor. But honestly, I think it does affect it because think of it this way. There have always been people who have gone for jobs, and there's always been one thing. Like, say they're qualified, an overqualified person, and an average qualified person. But the overqualified person, he did something that the company doesn't like. They're not going to give it to that guy.
Right.
So it's kind of always been like that. But so I would say, yeah, that his protests do have something to do with him not being re-signed. But I don't know if you did say, what was his last season like and what was the season before like? Was he any good?
So let me break down to you Colin Kaepernick's stats over the last 2 years versus the guy they brought in to be their quarterback, Brian Hoyer. So Colin Kaepernick, over the last 2 seasons, has played in 21 games in which his teams, now, albeit his teams have been really bad the last 2 years. His teams were 3-16. That was their record in the 21 games that he played in, and I should say 3-16 in the 19 games that he started. So his record as a starting quarterback in 19 games was 3-16. He had a 59.1 completion percentage. He threw 22 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Okay, so now we're going to go to Brian Hoyer, the man he was brought in to replace him. Brian Hoyer started in 14 games over the last 2 seasons, which of course is less than what Kaepernick had. But Brian Hoyer was 6-8 over those 14 games with about a 63 to 64 completion percentage, 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
So the new guy is doing better.
So exactly, Brian Hoyer has had better statistical numbers over the last 2 seasons than what Colin Kaepernick did. So that is where I don't get the outrage with the 49ers themselves. They're one of 32 NFL teams. The fact that people are outraged that the 49ers are not re-signing Colin Kaepernick, they say, well, Kaepernick is better than Hoyer. And maybe over the course of their careers, maybe that's correct. Kaepernick, 72 touchdowns to 30 interceptions. Hoyer, 44 touchdowns to 26 interceptions. So the numbers lean in Kaepernick's favor throughout his career. But over the last 2 seasons, they've played in the favor of Brian Hoyer. So that's where I don't get it when the people say, oh, the 49ers should have re-signed him, Brian Hoyer stinks. Well, in reality, over the last 2 years, Brian Hoyer's been better.
Well, it could be people are just trying to hold on to old ways. They know the guy, they know what he does, they know how he plays, so they just trust him more and they think he's better. And maybe, what... I know this is going to sound probably wrong, but what ethnicity are both of these people?
Colin Kaepernick is African American. Brian Hoyer is white.
Are people trying to play the race card in this?
I think so. I not in the terms of Brian Hoyer starting, but in the terms of Colin Kaepernick not getting a job.
That's what
saying
I mean.
It's a racial thing, and because he made these political statements and these social justice statements, and he's black, that's kind of adding on to it.
So these people are just seeing this as, oh, it's all piling together. They must be racist.
Absolutely.
They must be racist. They're signing a white guy. You can't really look at it like that because they're just signing the person who's better. They're trying to improve their team and win. Isn't that... You're a sportsman.
That's
Isn't
how
that
anything
what all
works.
Sports are. Yeah, true.
That's how anything works. Again, you go back to maybe a businessman. At the end of the day, are you going to hire the better one? Or the minority, if the minority's not better, let me put it that way. Obviously, you hire the best candidate.
Yes.
Personally, as a white man, if I were to lose a job to a woman, an African American, Latino, Asian, if they were better than me, they deserve the job. If they got the job because they're a minority,
because they had to fill some kind of quota,
when the problems arise. And I think it's the same deal here. People looking
can't
at
make heads or tails of it.
You can't just look at it on a gray scale because unfortunately we don't live in a grayscale society.
It would be amazing, but it's all black and white.
Well, and that's the thing. People are looking at it as he's not getting a starting opportunity because he's black or because he has social justice beliefs and he stood up for what he believed in. With the 40, again, we're going just strictly back to the 49ers.
Yes.
Brian Hoyer has been better over the last 2 seasons.
What were their other stats like with other teams?
Well, Kaepernick played his entire career, his first 5 seasons in the NFL with the 49ers.
Okay.
And Hoyer has been with 5 teams now. He's played with the Patriots as Tom Brady's backup, where, let's be honest, you know very little about football, but who's playing ahead of Tom Brady?
Nobody.
Exactly.
Isn't Tom Brady the man with 100 stats?
He's got 5 Super Bowl rings, the most of any quarterback ever. He played with the Arizona Cardinals, the Cleveland Browns, the Houston Texans, the Chicago Bears. Now he's on to his 6th team with the San Francisco 49ers. So he's getting a chance to start there because he's deserved that chance to start over the last 2 seasons. Maybe not over the course of his career. Kaepernick has been probably better over a 5-year span, but over the last 2 years, which in the league like in the NFL, where the average lifespan of a player's career is 3 years, that's a very look what you've done for me lately. That's how you get paid. That's how you get starting jobs. That's how you make teams. Is what have you done for me lately? And right now, Hoyer has been better than Kaepernick.
Now, I don't know if this one is going to make sense at this point, but just roll with me for a minute. Do you think a lot of these people that are protesting are Niners fans?
I think it's all over the world. It's all over the country, at least.
Do you think it started with Niners fans? Because think of it this way.
I think probably.
You said that the first guy, Kaepernick, has spent his entire career
with the 49ers.
Right. And the other guy has jumped around every 2 years.
Right.
Now, think of it like they know Kaepernick, they know how he plays, and he's loyal to the Niners. He's stayed with them. But the other guy, he may be better, but in 2 years he's just going to jump off and go to another team, and they'd be stuck with Joe Schmo, who they have no idea.
Well, and your point makes sense. Here's the thing, though. Brian Hoyer's not jumping team to team because all these teams want him. Brian Hoyer, over the course of his career, has been a very average quarterback who is going where the offers come in. He's not getting 17 teams saying, we want to sign you. He's getting 1 or 2 teams saying, we want to sign you. But over the last 2 years, with his time in Cleveland, his time in Houston, and then his time in Chicago, when he played, he was better. That's really all it comes down to for the 49ers. Now we can kind of stretch it out for the rest of the league. I don't think Colin Kaepernick is going to get a chance to start in the NFL, regardless of where he signs. It's going to be in a backup type role. Now, here's the thing. These names mean absolutely nothing to you. But I'm looking at a list of names that are considered the quote-unquote backups of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this page, and I see some good quarterbacks. I see some young rookies. I've seen some guys that really haven't had a chance to get their shot yet. And I see primarily, though, a lot of guys that just simply aren't good enough to be starting quarterbacks. Whereas I think Colin Kaepernick has the talent to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. If you take a look at the 32 names that are on this board, I'm going to go through them in an upwards fashion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24,
may I just say?
25. I would take Colin Kaepernick as my backup quarterback over 25 of the 32 backups in the NFL.
While that is actually kind of enlightening, that was a beautiful display of counting, my friend.
Thanks, pal. I really tried. I went to school for a long time to learn how to count.
But
you get my point.
What you're saying is that he's not even good enough to be the starter ahead of most of these people.
No. What I'm saying is he's better than 25 of the 32 guys listed.
Oh, he's better.
Yes. In my opinion, he's better than 25 of 32 players on this list. So, I can't figure out why a team, and obviously players fit in certain schemes.
Mm-hmm.
Kaepernick's kind of a run-and-gun quarterback. He moves well. He's in and out of the pocket. So he's not going to get signed by a team like, let's go with the Indianapolis Colts, whose quarterbacks have historically been concrete statues in the pocket.
Yeah,
you're not going to sign with a franchise that runs a scheme like that. But there are schemes that I'm looking at right here that run more of that up and down style offense. Let's say a la the Minnesota Vikings, who have a guy named Case Keenum as their quarterback. And if you put all things equal, I'll take Kaepernick every day of the week over Case Keenum. So I don't get why Colin Kaepernick has not been signed anywhere. You want to call him a quote-unquote social distraction? You know what a distraction to a team is? The guy that's getting busted for drugs. The guy that's getting busted for rape. The guy that's getting busted for murder. I don't think a guy that says, hey, I believe that the United States is treating minorities unfairly is a social pariah. Excuse me.
I guess I can agree with that, but like we said at the beginning, there are just some minor things that people can do that will piss off a company or a team in this case, where they won't want you back. And maybe doing those protests were that one thing.
That one thing for 32 teams, though?
Perhaps.
There's got to be a team out there somewhere that is looking at their depth chart and says, Colin Kaepernick is would make our team better. Here's the issue. I think this is the only issue out of all the issues that are brought up. Colin Kaepernick wants two things. He wants a chance to be the starter, and he wants starter-like money, of which he's probably going to get neither. He has to understand that right now in his career, he has one of two options. He takes backup role and backup money. And that doesn't mean backup money as the worst backup in the league where he's going to get $500,000, $600,000.
Yeah.
He's still going to make $2 or $3 million, which, $2 or $3 million, if you take a look at, I'm going to try to find his stats here, or I should say his salary here. If you give me one moment, I'll find it. You figure $2 to $3 million
I could live off that.
Is not going to be what you made as a 49er. It's just not going to happen because of the fact that you're not going to be a starting quarterback. For a team to say that, or for him to say that he wants $9 to $10 million, that's just not feasible for a backup quarterback. He made $26.4 million over the last 2 seasons. Call me crazy, but I think he can take that pay cut for the year, drop down to $3 or $4 million. If he's willing to get down to the $3 to $5 million range instead of the $9 to $10 that he wants, I bet he's got a much better shot of signing with the team.
Oh, absolutely.
Because nobody's willing to pay their backup quarterback much or more than what they're paying their starting quarterback. Or, anything in that league. That'd be like a backup goalie in the NHL making more than the starting goalie.
It wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't make any sense, right?
Just on name recognition.
Absolutely. So if Colin Kaepernick is willing to take a pay cut down to the $3 to $5 million range, I would bet that he is going to get a job offer. Now, here's something I didn't realize happened. Back in March of 2017, so March earlier this year, Kaepernick declined a $16.9 player option for 2017. Now, I'm not sure how you understand what a player option is.
I don't understand it at all.
There's 2 options. You can have a player option or a club option. Club option means that when 2016 ran out, the club had the option to pick his contract back up for 2017. With a player option, Colin Kaepernick had the option to say he wanted to re-sign with San Francisco. And I know he wants to start, and I know he wants to play immediately. And he probably was not going to get that in San Francisco. But he turned down $17 million, and now he's saying, well, I want 9 or 10. And teams are saying, you're not getting 9 or 10. He's really shooting himself in the foot. And I think that completely is without the protest and without the social justice distraction, quote-unquote, the teams are calling it and the media is calling it. Colin Kaepernick shot himself in the foot by not taking that $17 million option.
Here's a thought. Obviously, we've been talking about the NFL for this whole segment. Do you think he could, even if it comes to a lesser, do you think he could go down to play with the Soul or something in that kind of league?
Absolutely not. No, he wouldn't. I don't think so. Because even if he, let's put it, I'll put it into perspective like this. Even if he were to take the massive pay cut and he were to say he's going to sign somewhere for $3 million or $4 million, and he's not going to be not going to be a starter, but to be somebody's backup. Signing in the Arena League would give him a couple $100,000, maybe that if that. Plus, let me put it this way: the Arena League is just about to be over. The Arena League plays throughout in the beginning of the spring and into the summer, so he wouldn't be playing. So he'd be playing for nobody. So I think no, there's no chance he signs by a team like the Soul or somebody else in the Arena Football League. But it's a good thought. I get your thought process. But no, there's really not a minor league system like there is in baseball.
Well, think of it this way. You said that no team was willing to sign him, right?
I don't think teams are willing to sign him at the $10 million he wants.
So you think once he drops his price range, they'll start coming out of the woodwork?
I think so. I think if I were a general manager, I would be remiss to not sign a guy like Colin Kaepernick if I was able to get him for $3 or $4 million.
Well, then we just found you a solution.
Well, I think so. I think you have. And let me try to find, as we close this thing down, let me try to find a backup quarterback salary chart. Let me see if this is actually a thing. So, wow, this must be old. This has got to be an old chart, because I don't even know if that guy plays in the NFL anymore. Let's go back and try another one. Quarterback contracts and salaries. Let's try that one. Okay, so we're going to look for the first backup quarterback we can find, which could be Brock Osweiler, but he gets paid as he were a starter, so we'll skip him for now.
Why does he get paid as a starter?
Because he was a starter and got traded. He may not start for the team he got traded to, but that could be it. So we'll skip over that one because that's a rookie. That's a rookie deal. You're not going to look at anything. So here you go. Chad Henne. Actually, no, I lied. Matt Schaub. Actually, once again, I lied. Josh McCown. He's making $6 million. Josh McCown right now is the highest paid backup in the league at $6 million. I think that's per average per year, I should say. But in terms of total guaranteed, you're actually looking at somebody like a Nick Foles, who is the backup for the Eagles. Nick Foles is guaranteed $7 million over the life of a 2-year contract. So he's making $3.5 million a year, guaranteed. That's about what Colin Kaepernick would get. I think Colin Kaepernick's better than Nick Foles. I also think Colin Kaepernick's better than Josh McCown. So you could even say, let's give him $6 million to be your backup. And I don't think you're losing anything. It's money. Obviously there's a salary cap, but it's just money. That would be, to me, something that I would make a move on if I were a GM.
So once he drops his price range, he'll have all sorts of opportunities.
He's going to have to drop his price range
That man is making $0.
That's zero guaranteed. That's an incentive-laden contract. That's one of those prove-it-to-me contract deals where you have to make the team, you have to do X number of things in order to make your money. But so you get what I'm saying is he's not going to get 10, but if he drops it to 5, he cuts it in half, makes $5 million, you're not living poorly, my friend. That's not bad money. And you're going to get a chance to play somewhere. Take the deal. Take a deal. Any kind of deal. Just take it, get on the field. Prove your worth on the field. That's really all there is to it.
I think we've helped the man out today, Tyler.
I think Colin Kaepernick would be smart to sign any kind of deal he could get. But that's just me. If you guys have any opinion on Colin Kaepernick, if you're sports fans, even if you're not sports fans and you just see this as a social justice issue, please let us know. Comment in the video below on YouTube. Send me a tweet at Teasel34. Send Brandon a tweet at EasyModeEarls, all one word. You could reach us at a lot of different outlets. Try to find us. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with us? Do you think Colin Kaepernick should take any kind of deal he's offered just to prove it on the field, get on the field and prove it? Or do you think that Colin Kaepernick deserves starting quarterback money and should hold out like he's doing? Let us know what you think. We're going to head to our first commercial break. On the other side, we're going to switch things up a little bit, the rotation of the show today. We're going to get to Brandon's question on the other side. This is Baron Banter. Another segment here on this blistering hot Friday afternoon from Bensalem, Pennsylvania. Our first episode in August of 2017. The time's really kind of flown. We started this, back in the end of May?
We've been doing this for, I believe, 12 weeks
now.
And one week we were not able to do this.
This is our 11th episode of Baron Banter. Tyler Zulli, Brandon Zulli today. No Chris Matase. Hopefully he'll be back next week to come and join us. We're going to change things up a little bit, the order in which we do things. We normally slate this as the third segment, but today we're going to do it as the second segment. So, Brandon, what do you got for your question today?
I got a stupid question, honestly.
Aren't all your questions stupid?
That's what I title it, but, I feel that some of them were
a little more intellectual.
But this one I was kind of I was playing through a game, and then I just walked off, and I started listening to YouTube. And I started listening to the soundtrack to the game. And I kind of realized like how important soundtracks were, how important all the aspects. But I kind of thought, what was the most important aspect in any media? And actually in all media. In like a general sense or in a specific for each media. Say like in a video game or a movie. What's more important? Is there a difference or is it the same?
I'll be honest with you, and I think this one's pretty straightforward for movies, but I think it's a little less of an obvious one for video games. I think, especially in games that are character-driven or that are storyline-driven, obviously your sports games kind of don't matter in this, but in those kind of instances, I think you need to have a good script. I think a script is the most important thing that you could have in any kind of video game and obviously in movies, but I think video game is kind of a little more subtle, but you need a good script. If I'm sitting here and I'm playing, for example, right now the game that I'm playing is Batman Arkham City. And if Batman and let's say Joker had really poor dialogue, I don't know if I'd want to play the game, or at least I wouldn't sit there and watch all the cutscenes, which kind of make for the cinematic aspect of these newer games. They are kind of almost mini movies inside the video game because they have good scripts, they have good voice actors, and they're all put together in a specific way.
Now, keeping that in mind, what turns you away from the Telltale series? Because that is, in fact, a mini movie.
Right. I think
it's basically all script.
I think I need more action in those Telltale games. And that's the difference between a character-driven game and a Telltale game, where you're kind of, you make your decisions, and I like the fact that when you make your decision, it kind of adjusts to your game. I like that aspect, but in those kind of Telltale games, I need more action. I need more fighting sequences, or I need more just heart-pounding moments, and I don't really get those in those kind of pick-your-own-adventure games.
Now, for your choice for script, is that solely for movies and video games, or is that every, like, TV shows, things like that?
Well, and I think you could carry it over into TV shows just the same, and they're not scripts and songs, they're lyrics, but for me as somebody that doesn't play an instrument but has a deep affinity for music, lyrics to me have always been the most important part of a song. Now, you could ask anybody else and they'll have a different opinion. Now, this would be a great topic to have Chris with because Chris is a musician. Chris plays the guitar. His family, his brother plays the guitar. They have this musician background. So Chris will tell you it's the music, it's the guitar work. My buddy Joe is a drummer. He'll tell you it's a good drum beat and a bass line to go along with it. As somebody that doesn't play instruments but has a fond affinity for music, I think lyrics are the most important. So yeah, I think that it carries over across the spectrum of entertainment and of media is a good script, good lyrics, that kind of combination.
Honestly, I feel like I have to differ from this because while a script is important, I think unlike you, say for a movie, I can go with a bad movie as long as it's got a good actor or someone I like or a good voice actor. So I think it's more the characters that are the most important thing. Like,
so you would watch a complete bomb if it had somebody that you liked in it?
I have watched several complete bombs.
So let me ask you this, and I know that you're a big Bruce Campbell fan. You love Bruce Campbell.
I am a Bruce Campbell
fan. And those movies, I feel like, eventually got to the point where they were almost intentionally made to be bad movies.
Some of them eventually were intentionally made to be more campy.
Right, and I get why you get that aspect. It's kind of a humorous comedic relief with an actor that you enjoy. But other than Bruce Campbell, who do you really enjoy?
I will go and watch anything I can find with apologize, his name is on the tip of my tongue. The actor from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Tim Curry?
Tim Curry.
He's awful.
I love Tim Curry.
He's a horrible actor.
Tim Curry is amazing to me. And I will watch bombs just to see Tim Curry. And I actually got to see a bomb with Tim Curry and Bruce Campbell.
That had to be one of the worst movies of all time.
Bruce Campbell was in it for a total of around 3 minutes, and then he died.
Right.
And then Tim Curry comes in with the cheesiest accent of all time.
Tim Curry's a cheesy actor.
He is, and I think I like that. Like, I like cheesy kind of things. I like corny scripts and corny action. And he comes in. The movie is all about a gorilla who some scientist teaches sign language and then a voice modulator to put words to the sign language. They take her to the jungle, and I don't know, what's the right word here? Mayhem, I would say, ensues. And it's a complete pile of crap. It's called Congo. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's horrible. I only watched it because Tim Curry was in it. I knew that. And Bruce Campbell was in it. And then I found out, do you remember the original Ghostbuster crew?
Yeah.
The black guy?
Yeah.
He's in that as well.
Okay, but it still doesn't make it a good movie.
It doesn't. But I enjoy it because I know it's going to be crap, but there's people in it that I would like to see.
So, give me a more of a mainstream, not kind of a B-list actor. Is there another of an A-list actor that you enjoy?
Edward Norton.
Okay, so Edward Norton. So, Edward Norton has had some really good movies, and I'm going to go through...
I wouldn't be hard-pressed to find one that I would say was bad.
I'm going to go through his list of his IMDb.
We can see how many I've seen.
And just kind of go through what he's been in. Tell me if one, you think it's a good movie, and two, if you enjoy it. So we'll start with, where do you want to start? Because obviously the 2016 movies, maybe you haven't seen yet, like Collateral Beauty, Sausage Party. Where are you going?
Well, we got 4 movies up at the top.
All right, so I guess his 4 big movies. Of course, Fight Club is number 1.
It's a great movie.
It's a fantastic movie.
It's got great story. It's got great scenes, and Edward Norton and Brad Pitt are amazing. I love that movie.
So have you seen American History X?
I have, and I love that movie as well.
So The Incredible Hulk?
Love that. That was what started one of my love for the cinematic universe of Marvel.
Okay, have you seen? Let's try to pick another one, and we'll. I'm gonna look. Actually, what I really like to do here is find a movie that is not good that he's in. I mean, I love The Italian Job, fantastic movie. I like Kingdom of Heaven. May not be the greatest movie in the world, but
25th Hour is good. Red Dragon is amazing. The score is pretty good.
Other than maybe his first couple of movies that he made cameos in,
Primal Fear is
that I don't know.
Primal Fear is one of his first movies, and it was amazing. It was like when he started to get, like, after that he started to get really big.
You may have picked a good one here, because there's not many movies here that he's... I'm going to kill you.
I apologize for that.
I'm going to kill you.
Sorry about that.
Lucky there's an OtterBox on there.
But Edward Norton is... You'd be hard-pressed to find a movie that you could say is bad that he is in. You've picked a good one.
You've definitely picked a good one here. But, so you get my point, though. What I'm trying to say is, if you have an actor that you adore that's in an absolutely horrible movie...
I will see it.
You'll go and see it.
Maybe not in the theaters to pay for it, but I would definitely watch the movie. And even a game. Well, maybe... Actually, I would have to say only works for movies. Because I can't go into a game knowing a voice actor I like is in a terrible game. Like, there's a voice actor I love. His name is Quentin Flynn. He's in a lot of games I like. He's in Kingdom Hearts. He's in Final Fantasy. He's in a lot of good stuff. But I can't just go into a game that I know is crap just because Quentin Flynn is in there.
Okay. So why does it work for movies but not for games?
I guess it's more you see the person, you know what they're you go through all the range of emotions that they're going through. It's not just like, oh, it's their voice on a CGI character. It's not. I just can't really. It's not as effective, I guess.
Right. Okay, that's
so
fair.
I guess for movies, I would have to say the actors or the actors or the way they're portrayed is most important.
Mm-hmm.
For a game, honestly, I would have to say that the music is the most important aspect. Because I can't tell you how many games I've played where I have immediately gone and found their soundtrack and listened to it
Right.
all over again, or several times. Hell, I'll fall asleep listening to something like the BioShock or Metal Gear Solid soundtrack. They're just amazing soundtracks, and when you hear a certain song from the game, you immediately start thinking of a certain level
Right.
or a certain thing you did, and it just sends a good feeling through you.
Well, and I agree with you on the video game soundtrack here, because I'll put it this way. Growing up, I was primarily a sports game player. I played a lot of sports games. But the big thing with a lot of the Maddens and the MLBs and things like that was their soundtrack. I found a lot of bands for the first time on soundtracks to video games, or let me put it this way, my favorite band of all time I found because of the WWE.
Now, think of it. Now, what would you say is better in a game? Soundtrack that's original soundtracks for the game solely, or like a sports game where they take songs that already exist,
Right.
and just
I
put it out there?
I think there are two separate planes, because you have to look at it as, in a sports game, I don't want to listen to somebody creating some kind of symphonic orchestra or whatever it ends up being. I want to listen to big rock songs. I want to listen to pump-up rap songs, and everything in between. When I'm playing a game that isn't a sports game, that has a storyline, that has, again, it's character-driven, sometimes an original score is better, because it allows them to play to their advantage what they want to hear, what they want you to hear, I should say. Whether it be a heart-beating horror score, or whether it be a hero score, or take Kingdom Hearts for example. I think Kingdom Hearts does a great job of scoring their games. When you're on a peaceful island, it's upbeat, happy music. When you're fighting, it's more fighting sequence music. I think they did a great job at scoring, at least the first game, because I haven't played the other ones. But I think they did a great job of scoring the first game, and that's the difference. I think if you've got a game that features real people, I think you want songs, you want songs to your game. When you got a character one, I think you want more original pieces.
Now, would that train of thought only work for video games? Because think about movies. Think about something like Deadpool. They had real songs in it, like DMX, things like that.
But Deadpool was real people. Again, I think it's animated. I don't want real songs in animated movies. It just doesn't fit.
Not in animated movies, but think of something like The Dark Knight. That had its own score, and now everybody knows of it.
Right.
But it didn't have any already existing songs.
Yeah. What's your basis here?
When does it work in live action to have your own score rather than songs that everybody already knows?
Well, and you're taking a movie like Deadpool, which is a break the fourth wall barrier. It's a break the fourth wall type movie, which allows for songs to be put in there like that. And, obviously you have to kind of pick and choose when you're going to score your own movie and when you're going to outsource it to musicians. It's very difficult to decide when you want to outsource it. I think the best example of when's a good time to outsource is when you're doing flashback style movies. I think when you go back to the 70s, especially the 70s, what's the one song or one band that is used consistently in movies from the 60s and 70s? CCR. They use CCR all the time. Maybe it's a little overplayed, but it makes sense. You understand why they're using it. It's very, very pick and choose, and it's very difficult to decide when you're going to use an original score and when you're going to outsource.
So, what would you say is better? What makes you feel more in tune? What would you say brings you closer to the movie? Which side? Real music or the original soundtrack?
Well, as somebody that is a big fan of music, like I mentioned earlier, I think real music probably would. Because if you were to play, again, we'll go back to like the 70s. You go back to playing, Fortunate Son is everywhere by CCR. It's everywhere in movies that are about the 70s. But when I hear it, kind of bob around, sing the words to it, I kind of almost sometimes tune out of the movie to listen to the song. And that gets me closer because of my personal beliefs. That's what it's all about. That's why it's so difficult, because you have to look at a grander scale, all while looking at personal beliefs. You have to almost say, here's my demographic, and what I believe my demographic will like, which is let's say 10 million people. I have to go individually and along the grander scale at the same time. That's very difficult to do. That would be like me trying to say, I'm the CEO of McDonald's, and I have to decide what toy I'm going to put in my Happy Meal to best get a personal like and 100 million kids like. You know what I mean? It's very difficult. But I would go with the real music.
Again, I think I have to disagree, because I love movies and games with original scores. I love because it kind of makes you, because when you hear a song that's out there, once they play that, you're kind of just thinking of the song. You're not really thinking of the moment in the movie. Like in Batman, again, I keep bringing it back to that. I think that has one of the best original scores. During the chase scene with the Joker, they play that one song that everyone's now playing and using for like trailers and things like that. And it just kind of sucks you in to the moment, and you're so engrossed, and you're just trying to figure out what's going to happen next. And I think it just does a better job.
That's fair. Agree to disagree on this one, I think.
I think we're stuck with it. Once again, I think you were right. I think this should have been saved for Chris to break.
It would have given us a tiebreaker of some kind. Chris, if you're listening to this, why don't you shoot me a text and let me know
Leave
what you
a comment.
We'll get your answer on next week's show. We'll kind of do a small little segment to start the show. See what your answer would have been or is, and we'll go from there. But let's take another commercial break. On the other side, we're going to get to some more rapid-fire questions, and we'll finish up with a little bit of a rant this week. We're back on the angry side for this rant. This is Baron Banter. Welcome back to the third segment of this first August edition of Baron Banter. Tyler Zulli alongside Branodn Zulli here. We're going to do a little bit of rapid-fire question time. Not rapid-fire news, but just rapid-fire questions. We've kind of really settled into this role here a little bit. They're fun to do.
They're fun to do, and I think it's a good topic because we can get to so many things at once. We're not
in a small period of time.
We're not grounded onto one topic. I think it's a good thing we started.
So these questions were brought to me by fastcompany.com. 36 questions that you could get in an interview that are actually fun to answer. Some of them we won't get into because some of them are along the lines of what kind of advice do you have for a former boss or something along that. We'll skip those. But some of them are kind of fun. So let's throw 15 minutes on the clock here. We'll get to as many as we can in the next 15 minutes. Let's start with this one. Branodn, if you lived back in prehistoric times, would you consider yourself a hunter or a gatherer?
I would definitely be a hunter.
Why?
Well, back then I would just try and be the manly man. Alpha male, dominant.
I don't think your personality is alpha male though.
Well, when we're here together, when we're out there, definitely yes.
You would have fit in nicely because you're the burly, hairy dude.
Yes.
That would have been you.
I would be the dominant male.
Yeah, I don't know about dominant, but you probably would be more aggressive than what you are now.
Absolutely. What about you?
I think as much as I want to say hunter, be the guy that beats my chest, I think the gatherer is where it's at. Because when you're the gatherer, you never really put your life on the line. You may not be the alpha male, but you can be somebody that produces, somebody that provides, and you're not going to get killed by a woolly mammoth. So I'll pick gatherer. Question number 2. You're a new addition to the crayon box. What color would you be and why?
If we're going like, what color would you be based on your personality or your life choices? I think my color name would be bleh.
I think Brandon's color name would be cheeseburger.
No, it'd just be like meh.
The meh crayon.
The meh crayon. When you don't feel like you're gonna do anything and you don't feel choosing one between the other.
You're not black. You're not really like a blue or a purple. You're kind of like a grayish blob.
It,
Your color would be grayish blob meh.
it would be like gray and purple mixed together. Like
That's a good description.
How they portray darkness. Which is weird. They always portray darkness as purple.
Yeah, which really is not the case. Crayon box. What color would I be and why? I think I would probably be something along the lines of what's like flashy on the, like, not flashy, but outgoing on the outside, and on the inside you're a little bit more
Reserved.
kept together, reserved than what people think you are.
I don't think there's a word for that.
It's not neutral, and it's not like all the way outgoing. So maybe I'm like a light blue. Maybe I'll be cerulean. That will be my color.
Cerulean.
Not cerulean. Not what I want to go with. Sheridan. Not Sheridan. That's red.
Maybe you should be indecisive.
Yeah, indecisive crayon. That's what we'll go with. Question number 3. You finish up an interview and step outside the office. You find a lottery ticket on the ground that ends up being the big winner. $10 million. What do you do?
Take it immediately.
Well, yeah, I get that you're going to take it and cash it, but do you continue to work there? So let's say they offer you the job. Do you work there, or you just call them up and say, I'm out?
I would continue to work there. Just because I need something to fall back on if I somehow blow $10 million, which is unlikely, and I need something, say if I lose the lottery ticket.
Right.
There's all that $10 million's gone right there.
I think I'm going to tell them, listen, go hire somebody else. I'm going to go enjoy my life for a little bit. Next question. This question is, what do you think about when you're alone in your car? So what do you think about when you're alone?
Is there a cap?
Keep it PG rated, please.
Is there a cap to how many things I can state?
Give me like the one big thing.
What am I doing with my life?
That's fair. That's about what I think about as well. When is something going to break for me? Here's one. You got to think about this one a little bit. What's your favorite 90s jam?
I would have to look up what is definitely from the 90s.
Give me a song you perceive to be from the 90s, and I'll tell you if it is or not.
Something that I jammed to. That would. I don't know.
Just give me something that you think is from the 90s, and I'll tell you if it is or not. If you think that you enjoy it.
Back in Black.
Back in Black is from the 70s. Not even close.
All right.
We'll skip you on this one. Mine?
I'm not good with time.
Here's mine. It comes down to one of two songs. It's either Mr. Jones by the Counting Crows. I absolutely love that song. Or if you get me to drink enough, it's Bye 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 by NSYNC. Because I know every single word to that song. If you could be...
I didn't want to go with a Backstreet Boys song.
That's NSYNC.
Or NSYNC, whatever. One of the boy bands.
Okay.
I didn't want to go with that.
Why?
Because I would...
Embrace your boy bandish. We all listened to them when we were kids.
We did, but it still makes you out to be a loser.
Not even close. If you could be any animal in the world, what would you be?
Wolf dog.
Wolf dog?
Yeah. Alright.
What is a wolf dog?
It's basically a breed between... Well, it's actually wolfhound, but I believe it's a wolf and a husky bred together.
Okay. Fair enough.
They're kind of loyal like a husky, but fierce like a wolf. They're awesome.
I'd be a jaguar. Sleek, black, fast, hunter. Be a jaguar. What was the last gift you gave someone?
Probably a DVD for Father's Day.
Yeah, I got Dad something for Father's Day. I don't even remember what I got him, but I got him something for Father's Day. I know you're not that far removed. What were you like in high school?
At the start, I was quiet. I kept to myself. I kept my head down. I read my book. I didn't talk to anybody. Halfway through and to the end, I was kind of like a 180 of that. I was outgoing, at least with my classmates. I was kind of lively as much as I could be, and I tried to get involved in things.
I like to I tell people this description. They always kind of get a good chuckle out of this. There were three kind of people in my classes. So I was in first track classes, which were more of the honors, advanced classes. There were three kind of people in my classes. There were the super nerds, who were like way too smart, and that really wasn't me. There was C, the guys that probably should not have been in first track. They did well, but they kind of were slackers. maybe should have dropped down a second track. That also was not me because I did pretty well in school. Then you have the middle people who were me. We were kind of on the fringe of dorks and athletes because we all were athletic enough to compete, but we were also dorks enough to be dorks. So we were kind of right in the middle. We were the fringe dorks.
All right.
We were the cool dorks. That's how I would describe us, the cool dorks.
All right.
What is the last thing you watched on TV?
Does Netflix count?
No, TV. Actual TV.
Actual TV, Cutthroat Kitchen.
Mine was MLB Network. I watched Quick Pitch this morning with my morning coffee. What's the funniest thing that has happened to you recently?
Personally?
Mm-hmm. That is what you means, doesn't it?
True. You know I'm not good with words. I don't have a college education. I mean, I fell while bringing up the trash can the other day.
You did?
Right.
Well, because it was 25 pounds heavier than it normally is, because it was filled with water.
Fell right on my ass.
That's true. You absolutely did. This isn't funny. It's almost just embarrassing, though, but you remember this one happened a little bit ago. I drove to my baseball game, went to batting practice, went up to the field, went to put my uniform on because I wear shorts and a t-shirt at batting practice, realized I didn't bring my jersey. So I had to drive home and speed home, go get my jersey, come back, and make it to the field in time. What do you want to be when you grow up? Not homeless is my answer.
That's a good answer. I have several answers. YouTuber, cook, cop.
If you could pick one, what do you want to be?
YouTuber.
Okay, fair enough. At the end of the day, I still think I want to do play-by-play more than anything else.
What is a podcast except play for life?
Yeah, I guess you're right. What inspires you?
That's a deep question.
What inspires you?
I guess the feeling that I don't want to disappoint people.
So the fear of disappointment is what inspires you.
Or the fear that if I don't do well enough, people will leave me.
I think mine is similar, but mine's the prove you wrong.
So
feature.
we're opposites. You want to prove people wrong. I don't want people to
be right.
To hate me.
Right. Okay. I want to prove people wrong. All right. So in the next 30 seconds to minute, teach me something I don't know.
Oh my God. I can't do that.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
You can definitely teach me something I don't know. Give me the very, very basic, cut and dried Wikipedia definition.
Did you know that Silent Hill was based off of real Philadelphia town?
I did not. What town was it based off of?
I can't remember the exact name, but it was a coal mining town that caught fire.
Definitely not in Philadelphia then.
Not in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, I mean. There was a coal fire that struck, and the entire town had to be evacuated.
The original Silent Hill game?
Yes.
Let's look it up. It's, let me try to find it.
It was like an underground coal mine fire, I believe. So it kind of just bellowed up, and the entire town had to be evacuated. I don't know if people are still there.
Oh, is it Centralia?
I believe so.
Is that where it's from?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's a creepy place. I don't think people even live there anymore.
No, I think they're all gone.
All right, you want me to teach you something you didn't know?
Sure.
So yesterday, the Phillies lost to the Angels for the third straight time. The Phillies have lost to the Angels 12 times in a row, which is the most losses consecutively in interleague play in Major League Baseball history.
I did know that.
You did?
Yes.
How did you know that?
Because I was upstairs while you watched that ESPN interview.
Oh, well, fair enough. Well, that's what I taught you today. What are you known for?
I'm known for being slightly lazy, but could do more.
I think I'm known for my useless trivia knowledge, especially when it comes to sports. What is the most interesting thing about you that we wouldn't learn from a resume alone if you were applying for a job?
I have a certification in electrical engineering.
Which is pretty impressive considering you apply for mostly culinary jobs.
Yes.
Something interesting that you wouldn't learn from me from my resume alone is that I am very much into volunteer work. I love volunteering especially for Thon. How would you rate your memory? On a scale of 1 to 10, you're probably negative 40.
2.
2. Wow, that's being pretty generous. My memory has kind of two banks. It has important stuff and trivia. Trivia, it's a 10. Important stuff, it's probably a 4 or 5.
I could remember non-important details. Like, I could recite you every instance in a video game I've played. I can't tell you one mathematical equation I learned in high school.
That's fair. All right, here's the next one. How many pennies do you think would fit in this room?
60 billion.
60 billion pennies? That's a lot of pennies, dude.
You gotta go up the stairs, too.
I'm going to narrow that down a little bit.
And in the closets.
I'm going to narrow that down a little bit. I would say it would probably be about 400 million pennies.
I'd still go with 60 million.
All right, fair enough. Can you name 3 consecutive days without using the words Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday? This is just a one person. If you can do it off the top of your head. Ready? 10, 9, 8.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
There you go. How many windows do you think are in New York?
Like in the entirety?
In the entire city of New York.
4 billion.
You think that there are less windows in New York than pennies to fill this room?
No. I don't know, maybe 100 billion?
Let's look this one up, because I'm actually kind of interested to see if anybody actually did the math. Because you have to remember, you have to take into consideration houses, restaurants, businesses, cars, buses. So here we go.
100 billion.
Average number of windows per home, 3. Average number of windows per office, 7. Total number of home windows, 9.4 million. Total number of office windows, 17 million. Total number of windows in just homes, 27 million. So now,
way off.
You have to consider there are approximately 100,000 buses, which have approximately 12 windows each, which gives you 1.2 million. So right now, you're looking at approximately 42 million windows, not including homes and offices. That's incredible.
So I'm way off.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So more pennies.
More pennies for you, yeah. I guess you're right. Here's another one. Describe the color yellow to somebody who is blind.
It's sort of a vibrant, warm color. It basically, when you describe yellow or something, or red even, you just feel warm and happy.
I'll describe yellow to you. It looks like throw up. It's the worst color in the history of the world, and if it got evaporated off the face of the planet, I wouldn't care one little bit. I hate the color yellow.
All right.
If you were to get rid of one state in the United States, what would it be?
Does this include everything in that state?
Yep.
Could we move those things from that state? New Jersey.
Jersey. He's getting rid of Jersey. Okay. I would get rid of Delaware.
I can understand
sucks.
Why.
You've been given an elephant. You can't give it away or sell it. What would you do with the elephant?
Wow.
Got 4 questions left, including this one.
What would you do? I guess put on a show.
That would be my form of transportation. I would ride the elephant.
That's a good idea.
Who wins in a fight? Spider-Man or Batman?
Spider-Man. They actually calculated that on Death Battle.
Did they really?
Yes, they did.
Spider-Man won?
Yep.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on. How would you convince someone to do something they didn't want to do?
I'm a very persuasive man.
Brandon would take a poop on their desk.
No! I have never resorted to that tactic. Though I would describe myself a man with a silver tongue.
I think I would... see, that's the thing. I'm very good at talking to people. I think I would probably just do the same thing. I'd be very persuasive. Here's the last one. I've heard this question. I've had 4 Thon interviews to interview for a committee. 3 times I've gotten this question. I still have no idea how to answer this question at all.
All right.
A penguin walks through the door right now wearing a sombrero. What does he say, and why is he there?
Wow.
I still don't know how. I think I've answered this question differently all 4 times, or all 3 times I've gotten this question.
Well, obviously why he's there, he's lost. He's looking for the mariachi practice. What he says? That is a harder thing to answer.
Yeah, isn't it?
I mean, what would you say?
Like I've said, I don't know how I answer this question. I'm so lost at answering this question. I've tried. I give a different answer every time. My answer's never sufficient. So I'm not even going to try to answer this question.
That's what he says.
Is that what a penguin sounds like?
That's what a penguin sounds like.
Wow.
That's what he says. Want to know why he's there? Because he ran out of the zoo and tripped into a Sombrero factory. That's it.
That's the only answer you need. That's 36 questions minus 5 or 6, but we did a pretty good job. We said 15. We knocked it out in 18. Not too bad. Let's head to our final commercial break. On the other side, we'll wrap things up with a little bit of a rant. This is Banter. Welcome back into the final segment of Banter for this week's edition. Tyler Zulli alongside Brandon Zulli. You know what I've realized? We haven't come up with a name for the show yet. Man,
no, we haven't.
It might be Penguins and Sombreros.
It might be.
I think it's going to be
Generally,
Penguins and Sombreros.
for the past few weeks, we've been basically making up the names as we go through the podcast.
Yeah, we don't have a name decided on when we start the show. But let's continue the show. One final segment. We haven't done one of these in a while. We're going to do a little bit of a rant, and I am certainly going to get a little bit angry right now. So, as you know, I play in a summer baseball league, and this summer baseball league it's competitive, but it's not competitive to the point where it's like, we're getting scouted or we're becoming, we're going to get drafted to major league teams or whatnot. But when I'm out on the field, I don't want to lose. I hate losing.
Tyler takes losing as someone would take losing a family member.
I'll put it this way.
It's the most tragic thing that's ever happened.
I've always said this. I hate losing more than I like winning. Losing sucks. But that's not the point of my rant here. This league is it's 10 teams from across the Bucks County area and into Philadelphia. Our league commissioner had a meeting about 3 weeks ago, and they said they brought all the coaches in. The coaches went to this meeting, and they said, guys, you have to have your season finished by date X. Any games that you don't play by date X will not count towards your standings. You'll lose points. Because the way our league works is you get 3 points if you win your game. You get 1 point just for showing up. No points for a forfeit. So basically it was you have to get these games in even just to get your couple of points. So a lot of teams, including ours, played double headers. We played 3 games in 4 days. It's tiring to play that many games in a row after you go work. That's the thing. Major league players and professional players, that's their job. But guys like us, we go work 9 to 5 and then go play a baseball game. That's very difficult to do, especially a couple of weeks or a couple of days in a row. So we get all of our games in. We play double headers. We play, like I said, 3 and 4 days. We get all our games in. But one team has 3 games left to play when the league is supposed to be over.
So they're out.
Well, they're not out, but they shouldn't get to make up these games, correct?
Yeah.
But one of the people on the board happens to be a parent of this team. So they get some kind of special privilege where, all of a sudden, we're going to extend the league a week. And all of us that finished our games and played a ridiculous amount of games in the last 2 weeks went, well, can we reschedule what games we have left to spread them out? The league said, no, you have to play what you have scheduled when it's scheduled. No rescheduling. But if you have games that have not been scheduled due to rain or makeup, you can schedule them up to now this date a week later. And we went, that's bullshit. Basically what you're saying is this team, because you're on the board, gets an additional week to play games because they didn't play their games on time.
That seems par for the course.
So basically my team got penalized by having to play a significant amount of games in a row. We lost some games maybe we could have won and been better in the standings. Now granted, we finished second in the league, but there were teams that finished maybe 4th, that could have been 3rd, could have been 2nd. Teams that finished 7th, that could have been 5th. It's all about standings, So how exactly can you justify, well, this team gets an extension because they haven't played all their games and it's unfair to them? No, it's unfair to us because we had to play 4 games in 5 days or whatever it was. Ridiculous.
Honestly, that's kind of bullshit, but you really gotta expect it if you're saying that the one of the parents for that specific team
is on the board.
Well,
and here's the problem. Now we get into the playoffs. So we're in the playoffs, right? They have this bracket set up. It's double elimination. All the games are scheduled for certain days. Now, basically, these games are going to be played come hell or high water under the assumption that it's not going to be completely flooded. If your field's not flooded, play the game, right?
Yep.
Especially if you have lights, you can start at 10 o'clock at night. Play the game. So we play our first game. We win. So that we get a day off. We play our next game. We win again. Now, we're under the assumption that the way the schedule is set up and the bracket's set up, that we're supposed to play tonight, Friday night. We're getting ready to play. We have practice. We gear up to play Friday night. The team that did the whole BS in the regular season, oh, well, it rained on Tuesday night, so we couldn't play. I'm sorry. Let's backtrack for a second. It rained on Tuesday night. You're 100% right. You know who played on Tuesday night? We did.
You?
And we finished our game. You know why we finished our game? Because we were scheduled to play the game that night. So I don't want to hear, oh, we couldn't have played. It rained. Our fields are 6 miles apart. I doubt in 6 miles your field got swamped and ours didn't. So why did we play Tuesday? So, all right, so let me put it this way. We played Tuesday. They didn't. When do you expect them to play?
I don't.
When should they play?
The next day.
The next day, right. Guess what? They didn't play the next day. Okay, no big deal. They should play Thursday. Well, now that they didn't play Wednesday, they were scheduled to play Thursday. Thursday gets washed out because, of course, it poured last night. So now they're not playing till today, which means we don't play until tomorrow. Now tell me how you can backtrack these games. Saturdays are tough for us. Saturdays are good for this team. This team doesn't have guys away on Saturdays. We have a lot of guys that work on Saturdays. So basically what you're saying is if this team wins, they're going to screw us into the freaking ground by beating us on Saturday. And now we got to go to the loser's bracket. And they get to go into the championship game untouched. When we got our games in when we were supposed to, and we won the games that we were scheduled to play.
They're trying to rig this system to win, and it's working. Honestly, there's really nothing you can do about it.
Well, there's not. And it's just me, basically what this segment is me getting my anger out.
More of that?
You've seen the movie Major League, right?
No.
You've never seen Major League?
No.
Okay, so Major League, in Major League, the owner of the team says that if they don't make the playoffs, she's going to sell them and move them to Miami. So the team, what they say is that the one guy comes up and he goes, you know, we're going to be sold. The only thing that we can do is win the whole fucking thing. Sorry for the language, but that's how it is. He says that. That's how I feel at this point. I feel like the only thing that there is for us to do is play when we're scheduled to play and hope that this team wins and we kick the crap out of them tomorrow. Now, they wouldn't be out of the playoffs. They'd go to the loser's bracket, but it would be just such just rewards for us to win that game, play them and win that game, and move on to the championship.
Maybe that's what you're going to have to do.
Maybe that's what we're going to have to do. But I'm frustrated that we do everything that we're supposed to do, and we get boned because this team has somebody who's on the board.
Ain't that politics in a nutshell?
That's pretty much how it is. That's how life works. And I know it's a life ain't fair moment, but you know what? This is my chance to get my anger out. I don't know. I'm not gonna scream. I'm not gonna curse anymore. I just want to get this out over a public forum to say, guess what? Liberty Bell, go suck a nut. That's what I have to say. Enjoy it. I hope you hear it. I hope somebody does, because you're a bunch of scumbags.
Just have a person with a sign at your next game. Easy Mode Earls, Banter, episode 11.
Take a listen. Scumbags. That's what you are. You're cheaters, you're scumbags. Play your games when you're supposed to play them. I hope Northampton kicks your ass tonight. Let's shut it down. I've got nothing left to say.
Get that out?
We're good. Let's shut the show down for the day. Whew, deep breath. All right, let's do this. One final time saying thank you so much for tuning in this week. If you've tuned in for the first time, thank you for giving us your ear and your audience. If you've tuned in now for all 11 episodes, thank you for your continued support. We hope you continue to listen. Spread the word to your friends. Tell them that we're a good time. We're a fun hour each and every Friday on YouTube and on Twitter at EasyModeEarls. That's where you can find Brandon. You can find me at Teasel34 on Twitter as well. Any comments that you have, leave a like and a comment and a subscribe down below in the, what would you call it? I guess the bottom section, I guess that is.
Yes.
Regardless of what it is, leave a like, a comment, and a subscribe if you like what you hear. If you ever have any topics that you'd like us to discuss via this podcast, please drop a comment or a tweet at us as well. We'd be happy to try to find some time to fit your comment and your topic in on a later show. Remember to tune in every week, every Friday for the latest Banter, and soon we have it on good authority that episode 25, which is now going to be 13 weeks from now, we will give out our very first Banty Awards. So thank you so much for tuning in each and every week. Have a great weekend.